Hello everybody, this is the first activity of the Module 1. This is the course Software Certification. Right now we are also taking another course called Software Documentation. They are related. So in this activity we have mostly two objectives. The first is to identify the basic concepts related to software quality based on its context and scope. And also the second objective is identify the different levels of maturity model established by SPICE model under ISO and IEC 15504. So we have to do first like a little introduction because we know that now everybody is able to produce software. Everybody can develop an application, and this implies that you can find all kinds of solutions in the market. The problem is that not everybody apply quality controls when developing software, and we are just not talking about people. We are especially talking about companies, let's say small companies that they don't apply quality controls. So therefore it is important to define a model of quality from the point of view of the software engineering in order to establish some controls to ensure the quality of the software. So basically the quality models that we focus are the quality software process, also on the product quality and also on the service quality. So all of these processes and methodologies, um, like the main objective at the end is to get a certification uh, for the company that we are following certain processes. But like we are saying in the other course called software documentation, there's not only one way we can do things. So we could take the things that we think or that the project requires and apply it. We don't have to follow things as like straight. So we're gonna start talking about software maturity. The maturity model allows to know the maturity of the organization based on its processes in relation to the software quality. However, there is also the model of capacity, which measures the capacity of each of the software processes of the organization. So, in order, like we see on the graphic, the quality of the software, first we detect the error through the software process, and then we have a final software. Um, from the point of view of the quality, you cannot improve a product of a service if you don't improve the processes involved. So if we don't improve the processes when we are building software from the conception, since the moment we start getting the requirements from the client to the moment that we have the final product, uh, we're not gonna get a good software because if the process is not, uh, it doesn't have certain rules, certain uh, rigorosity, we're not gonna get a good model. So the process or evaluation of more SPICE. SPICE is stands for it means in English software process improvement and capability determination. It's a set of technical standards documents for the computer software development process and related to business management functions. So if we go online, we can find several like templates and software that help us to uh, apply this process to our company. Some of them are paid, we have to pay for them. They do most of the process. They say what part of our process is weak. And like in the graphic, we have like a situation, the problem, ideas, investigation, how to construct, and an evaluation. And this is a model that requires to know to have a really deep knowledge of the project and the way we as a developers and also as the manager of the project is conceiving the project and the way it's working, because the system that we develop uh, has to be focused in quality, detecting error or bugs, and there's moments like the phase of test when we are testing that happen after we develop the software. So, so the concepts of process include all the activities that we carry on and that we are and that are defined in this model that we cannot change. So, for example, we have to establish the methodology. We also have to establish the roles, the developers, the analysis, the head of the project, if there's an architect, and we have also to assign responsibilities. For example, developers for the programming analysis. There's just analysis that review code and find errors and bugs, and they have to do certain documentation and follow certain process and certain formats too. The project manager is the one that is in charge of the coordination and implementation of the project. So when in this process evaluation model, we also define the technologies that we're gonna use, because the main objective of all the processes that I just mentioned is the development of quality final product, which is obviously much better in order of the satisfaction of the customer. Uh, okay, so these are the characteristics of software process evaluation or SPICE. So we have to say that the difference between the SPICE certifications is that it's cheaper compared to other ones. It's also easier to evaluate. In addition, because it's a ISO standard, it can be easily integrated to another ISO standards. For example, the 27001, that is information security, ISO 22301, business continuity, and so on, so on. So the SPICE certification follows the scheme of the certification of management systems, and we have these 6 levels where we start when the organization does not have implemented processes, when they just they don't even follow any methodology, and that could happen in little companies that they prefer to produce a software really fast in time, because the faster, the less time they're gonna spend in that project, and they can start working in another one. But they don't focus in in good quality. What they do is that they want to get more clients, and they reuse the code, and the organization implements poor processes, and they don't achieve sometimes the objectives. So that's the level one, the basic one, when you have to implement objectives for the project, and that has to be on the documentation. So we have to processes we have to processes all the process. They have to be managed, and the organization has to adapt to the standards that the norm SPICE establish. Um, how we do it is that we use quantitative techniques with numbers, and the processes improve continuously. So there's several ways to optimize these processes, and if we do it, soon we're gonna see that the organization acts reactively. It's We're gonna start seeing processes that improve continuously if we measure it. So now we have the structure of the ISO um, e, IEC 15504 that set some minimum requirements to carry out the evaluation of processes. So it tends to be used by certification bodies to perform certification audits. It is composed of two dimensions. Okay, sometimes when you do big contracts with companies, they need a certain uh, that the company has certain certifications so they can work with them. Especially if you're gonna work with the state, with the government or a public agency, they have all of those requirements because they want to be sure that the project is gonna uh, have a happy ending. So it has two dimensions. The first one is that the process of the dimension that relies on external references like ISO IEC 12207 that I mentioned before, and the capacity dimension that defines six levels of capacity and to establish framework to the measurement of processes. All of these measurements that I'm talking and metrics, they have to be with numbers. The process attributes are grouped according to the different levels of capacity, and each attribute measures a particular aspect of the ability of each process. The capacity level in this ISO 15504 has six levels and has some processes attributes like innovation of the process, continual optimization, control of the process, workflow management, management of the realization of the project. We also have the processes of software of the life cycle of ISO 12207. So we have spoken much about processes, but we need to know what processes can be used together. So we can use combined um, processes. This one is the ISO 15004 for the evaluation of processes. In this context, the standard that provides models of the software life processes is the ISO IEC 12207. So it works both together. So in this one we have technical processes, agreement processes, project processes, software support processes, software review processes, organizational project enable enabling processes. So like we are saying right now in the course of documentation of software, all of these are methodologies and standards that we have to follow. Some of them they have a lot of items, things that we have to do, but sometimes they cannot apply for our project, so we don't have to follow the way they say. And if we have a poor result when we do the evaluation, we have to reevaluate the processes that we are doing to have a better results. If we are not getting at the end but what we are expecting, what was projected, we have to look and see the things that maybe are being done the bad way, in a wrong way. So with this, I would like to conclude. This is the final of the first activity. This is the references from the model 1 and the bibliography that they recommended. And thank you very much for your attention.